All right, guys, welcome back to another Monday Night Racing Pro Series recap show. I'm Brandon Hauff. That's Michael Massie. And this week we have special guest Seth Eggert. How's it going tonight, Seth?
Doing good. What about you guys?
Doing well.
Great.
Revved up after last night's race, huh?
Yeah, best finish of the season for both of us. So
Yeah. It was a wild finish, but we'll jump right into it. Photo finish, which again at another plate track. Just like Daytona, there was a finish. I don't know what the margin of victory was yesterday, but
0.02.
okay, that was much closer. I think that was closer than what Daytona was. I think Daytona was like what, like 100th, if that. I don't even know
about that.
Yeah, it was something like that. But in the two plate races, two photo finishes, but winning both has been Anthony Alfredo. And he even said in his interview he's starting to figure this next gen stuff out on iRacing on the plate tracks. But from your guys' perspective, I know you guys were kind of caught up in a way in the big ones near the back at the end or mid pack, or they're happening all over the field. But I'll let both of you kind of give your perspective, what you thought about the finish and, what you guys saw. I'll start with you, Mike.
Yeah, so came home 19th, as you said, best finish of the season. Not only first top 20 of the season, first top 30 of the season. But I think I've only been in 2 races at this point. So.
Hey, we're off to a good start then, right?
Yeah. So it was a pretty good race. Seth and I both had similar ideas at the start where I was just kind of trying to lag back, riding a second pack because those guys at the front were very aggressive right from the get-go. I thought there was going to be a lot more wrecks. It ended up being a fairly clean race until the end of it when we had triple overtime. But yeah, so just riding around, trying to not get caught up in a big one. And then sure enough, we were part of the big one. I was just riding along. The wreck happened in front of me. I'm checking up. I'm going to miss it. And then a certain someone comes flying in, bam, cleans me out, wipes me out.
I feel the awkwardness over here.
Well, to be fair, I went back and I watched the replay, Michael. I got hit into you, so I didn't fly into you on purpose. But the person who hit me kept on going, made it through the wreck. Granted, he got caught up in one of the later ones, but he was driving a certain number 4 Pride car.
No.
Yes.
Brett Baldeck, Arca braked us.
Yes.
Man, this is not a good start right here.
Ban him from the show, Brandon.
I will thank him. Just don't. So it's like he followed up his guest appearance, and it was a great guest appearance, great episode with doing that to our future guest for tonight.
And the co-host.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. We'll have to yell at Brett, but don't be doing that next week then, Seth, to anybody.
Yeah. Don't write me next week.
Well, next week is Super Late Models at Gateway, which the last time we ran that was season 2.
Yeah.
And I think I was 2.5 seconds off the pace.
Oh boy.
So
I can tell you right now from experience that it's gonna be a weird race because from what I hear, those cars aren't great around that track. So, we'll see. But
we could be a lot of wrecks. I could say that every week.
Well,
personally,
I wanted the Super Late Models at Bristol after running 300 laps there in a race earlier this year and finishing 6th. But yeah,
that's good.
Yeah,
I think Bristol was the original track. And then they changed it to Gateway.
Yeah.
I don't know why they did that. Honestly,
because
I know
of Martinsville.
Yeah, you do 2 plate tracks. I was like, why not do 2 short tracks like that? It would make sense, but I don't know. That's up to them. And I know you guys got to take what you get, right? But
yep.
Yeah, we don't get paid the big bucks to make those decisions.
But as we were saying, Mike got his best finish of the season, 19th. Shout out to Mike for that.
Yeah, we got off the rails there. I'll talk.
Yeah.
So that wreck happens. the car didn't seem that damaged, but when I went to take off, the engine was revving and just nothing was happening. It just wasn't moving at all. So I had to,
So what happened there is you broke a toe link.
I guess that is what happened, huh?
Yeah, probably.
Now I know what these guys experience in real life when you hear they broke the toe link on Sundays. But so I had to get towed. Took like 5 minutes to get towed or something crazy like that. I went 2 laps down. So then after that, I'm like, all right, well, we'll have plenty more cautions, right? We went caution free for like the next, I don't know how many laps, but I was thinking for a while, like, I'm not going to get a caution. I'm going to finish
30 laps.
We went 30 laps. I'm going to finish 40th 2 laps down. Like, I'm not catching a caution, but eventually, sure enough, the cautions did come out. Dodged a couple, got my laps back through the waiver rounds. Had one wreck where I almost drove through it. And then at the last second, it was like somebody came flying in and hit Mike Clay and knocked him right on up into me. But used some optional repairs for that. Had another wreck where it was just Raja Caruth sitting right there in front of me on the track. I locked up the brakes. There's nothing I could do at this point. I'm coming. Last second, he like spins around out of my way. We're like inches apart from each other. It was crazy. I missed that one. So anyways, keep going. Get to the end of the race, and I'm behind Will Rogers on the inside line on the final restart. And Will Rogers did a Will Rogers thing and went to the apron and was passing people. So I was just following him. Yeah. And so I made up a couple spots there. Then the wreck happened. I can't remember who.
It happened right behind me. It was Matt Stolnick and I think Charlie Brown.
Okay. Yeah. But so that happened. I went a little high, got nailed in the door by Stolnick, I think. And then I'm trying to think, maybe it was George Boffins clipped me on the outside. I can't remember who, but ended up the right front tire was destroyed, and there's video evidence of it via Seth.
Again, that was a broken toe link.
Yes. So I rode out the last 2 laps of the race. Was probably running top 15 after getting through that wreck, but I was going 140 miles per hour the last 2 laps. And everybody else going like 180, 190, whatever. So I lost. People were just flying by me. Ended up crossing the line 19th. But when all said and done, pretty good day.
One more thing before I talk about my race. What throwback did you run?
Oh yeah. Should have talked about that first. Yeah.
So I run the number 27 in the league, and one of the reasons, one is that nobody really chooses number 27. I think it kind of looks cool just because the 2 numbers are similar, but they're almost kind of, I don't know. It's hard to describe, but it's very visually pleasing to me, the number 27.
Fair enough.
And then I grew up a Rusty Wallace fan, and that was his number when he won the championship. So I did a throwback to that 1989 Rusty Wallace Kodiak Pontiac, although I was driving a Chevrolet yesterday.
Close enough.
It's still GM to GM.
Still GM. Yep, for sure. So yeah, it was a beautiful car designed by Stephen Ellis. He worked the front stretch and the Eric Bodwin logos into it to look like that Kodiak bear was on Rusty's hood. So yeah, I loved the paint scheme. I thought it was the best one. It didn't win the best one, but I thought it was the best.
It was a nice scheme, I will admit.
Thank you.
It stood out on track. So, and you came up with a solid finish, so it all paid off, right?
Mm-hmm.
But all right, Seth. We'll let you talk about your race, how it went last night. I know you got a solid finish, a couple of spots better than Mike. Your best finish of the season as well.
Yep.
As well as your first top 30. So,
yeah, I haven't had luck this season. I'll say that much.
Yeah, but yeah, go ahead and talk about what you saw all night.
Well, I wanted to qualify up front, so that way I had a better pit stall for one. And on the off chance there were more than 43, that way I was in on merit, because coming in, I was outside the top 35. I qualified 6th. Honestly, I messed up my fast lap a little bit. I hit the apron in 1 and 2, which definitely cost me somewhere around 300s, which I looked at the lap times. I would have been third if I had hit my marks all the way around. So that's how close it was. But I knew I did not want to be up there in the hornet's nest. So I immediately hopped out to the outside, tried going backwards. But Charlie Brown thought that I was trying to pick somebody up to go forward. So he hopped up. Meanwhile, I'm still in fourth gear. I'm fourth gear all the way around lap 1. And he's pushing me and pushing me. Finally, I see this opening, so I dart all the way down to the bottom, down to the apron, and let the field go by. And I end up, I think, right between Michael and Steve Affont. And we basically ride there most of the race. And there was the one big one that we both got caught up in. Then the first caution during that long green flag run at the end that Michael thought he was going to be trapped 2 laps down the entire time. I was riding around saving fuel. I had a little bit of nose damage from the wreck with Michael and others. And so I couldn't lead a pack. I didn't have good fuel mileage when I was full throttle. But with someone behind me and someone in front of me, I was a half lap to the good. There was a wreck with Max Kennan and I forget who else it was that they didn't throw a caution for.
Yep, I remember that.
Which, honestly, they should have. It was multi-car wreck, but wow. And then about 10, 15 laps later, Raja Karut spins off the nose of Blake Ray in front of our pack.
Yeah.
And because it was in front of a pack, they threw the caution.
Yeah, that early one actually is what created 2 different packs.
Yeah.
You had us that checked up, and then the lead pack is just gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys were kind of in no man's land once that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was actually watching the differential between us and the last cars of the lead pack, and we were closing in, granted, not by much.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, the lead pack wasn't going to be good on fuel, as we saw.
Not at all.
The only person who made it all the way on fuel, granted, he ran out in the trial, was Fieldhouse, if I remember correctly. And he was among those, like Massie and I, that pitted at that last caution and then topped off. And granted, Massie pitted, I pitted, several of us pitted. There were some that stayed out from the first round of pit stops and some that stayed out after topping off. I don't agree with them complaining about shortening the cautions due to fuel mileage or trying to get them to shorten, mainly because there were about half of us, if not 3/4 of us, that played it smart and ducked on the pit road knowing it's Monday night racing. We're going to have 3 overtimes on a plate track.
Yeah.
But kudos to Shieldhouse for being able to save that much fuel, though.
Yeah, because that race went like 104 laps total or something like that?
Something like that. And he pitted on lap 53.
Yeah.
So he went 51 laps on fuel.
That's crazy.
I mean, I know it's a
94.
It's supposed to be a 94 lapper, so that's just
It went about 10 laps longer.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. Even though it's a 20-gallon fuel tank now versus what it used to be, which was 18.7 or something.
Yeah.
That's still crazy. Like in the Gen 6, you never were able to go, I think, more than like 38, 39 laps at Dega. And here he went like 50 with cautions. Like,
yeah,
that's impressive.
Without cautions, the next gen can do somewhere between 38 and 43, depending on where you are in the pack, how you're saving. So,
okay.
Yeah. So basically, he extended it somewhere between 10 and 15 laps.
Okay. I mean, that's still impressive, honestly. Like to save that much. Because I know I was spotting, like I say every week, I spot for Nick Olson. He was so close on fuel because he was one of those guys that topped off. And every caution, he was like 1 point. I think the last caution, he was like a 1.6. Like he had 1.6 in the tank. And he's like, all right, we have one more caution. He's going to have to pit.
But for me, where I had the nose damage, I didn't have the luxury of staying out.
Yeah.
I had pitted, but I didn't take the fast repair because I thought oh, I'm gonna get caught up in one of the next wrecks during the green white checkers.
Exactly. Yeah.
I avoid all of them.
It
So
always
lining-
happens that way.
Yeah, so lining up on for the last one, I am like 18th. I have nose damage. It takes about an extra 200 yards for me to get up to speed. But luckily, I have Ryan Vargas behind me, pushing me. So I get up to speed very well. Then exiting turn 2, I see Matt Stallneck and Charlie Brown spinning and blocking the track behind me. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to finish worse than where I am. The pack I'm in starts getting rowdy. I go to the bottom on the apron on the backstretch on the last lap. And then I see Matt Stallneck stuck in the middle of the apron. So I go to move back up, not knowing that TJ Majors is moving down to avoid a wreck. Well, we collide. I spin into Matt, and it shears off the left front tire. Like, literally, I see it bouncing in my rear view mirror. And I'm spinning.
Or a suspension.
Yeah.
But somehow I still have drive. So, and I still have steering. That's what amazed me. I had steering. So I get back up to speed, get pointed in the right direction. At that point, I am 6th. I can only do 130 miles an hour with 3 tires.
That's
By
the
the
bad
time-
part about it.
Yeah. But by the time I cross the line, I'm 15th. I cross the line in 15th. Then Mark Rabillas does Mark Rabillas things, driving the wrong way before the countdown timer ends and gets a black flag.
That's funny.
So we all move up one. So that's why you're 19th and I'm 14th.
Yeah, you guys got 2 top 20 finishes. That's pretty good, honestly. And, you know, like I said, last night's race was pretty solid for a good 75, 80 laps. And then, you know, then we know what happened after that. But, you know, say you actually finished Dega, finished all the laps, regardless of how your car looked at the end, whether you had a broken toe link, no wheel on the car, whatever it was, you still finished the race. You got okay finishes. And, you know, you got some good points that you needed, you know, to
Yeah.
We
move up.
need to,
I'm now 35th in points. So I'm
Okay,
locked
there you
into
go.
next week. at least.
important. That's very important.
Seth, you and I on those last 2 laps, we needed to get like you be my right side and me be your left side.
Yeah.
We'd have
Yeah.
a whole front row.
Yeah.
front
And-
tires.
Now, the throwback I ran was the number 57 Heinz throwback to Morgan Shepherd's 1988 Buick. Granted,
Oh, wow,
I run a
okay.
Chevy. So again, it's GM to GM.
Yeah.
But I run the number 57 to honor my mom. She was born in 1957. And Doug Denise, he's been making my paint schemes this season. As soon as I told him that we were gonna have a throwback weekend, he went and sent me 2 pictures of Heinz 57 cars. One was Morgan Shepherd's. The other, I think, was like Brett Bodine or something like that from one start he had. And I was like, I like Shepherd's, and that's what he was thinking. From the time I told him to the time he had sent me the screenshots of the car on track at Talladega was about 3.5 hours.
Wow.
And he worked in the Heinz logo with the Kickin the Tires in it, which, fun fact, the Heinz font that they use is a specialty font only used by Heinz that is not published anywhere.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
I know the Heinz car, I think no, that was Orida. I was thinking Brian Vickers in like the mid 2000s in Bush.
He did drive. It was a Orida Heinz. if I
Okay, so it
remember.
was Heinz. I thought
Yeah.
so. Because when you first said that, I thought that's what you were going to say. And then you said Morgan Shepherd. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't really remember that, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like obscure throwbacks. I like history. It's a little bit of my background, which I know we'll get to in a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's one of those where I wanted to shine a light on a paint scheme. And the only thing that bugs me about that finalist contest that they did And
There we go.
overall, all we did, well, here's the thing. Who's the one who said in the group chat that talked about having a throwback weekend?
Was it you?
Well, first it was Gary Sexton in one group chat, but then it was me in the main one.
Okay.
They never highlighted my scheme.
Then I didn't think they highlighted a lot of schemes, honestly.
They, in the past, they've highlighted all of them.
Mhm.
Then this year, it was what, ones that Ford Martin made and a handful of others.
Yeah. I saw a few and I was like, where's the rest of the field or something? There was like 8 of them, and I'm like, there's 43. Like,
Yeah.
Like Leighton Sibille didn't run the throwback because
no, he didn't.
He didn't know about it. Mark Verbillis didn't run the throwback. And I think Dakota Curtis didn't run the throwback.
The 45, right? Yeah, I don't think he was a throwback either.
Mark's was a throwback to back when Bitcoin was going up.
Okay. Ha ha ha.
That's a good one.
Well, if he really wanted to make it a throwback, then why didn't he go flying?
Hey, his throwback could have been oh no.
You just got all blurry.
I know, I got all blurry. Oh no. Hold on 1 second. Okay, we're gonna stop that for a minute, but we'll take this out of the recording. I'll make sure to tell Jared.
He'll still be in there.
I know. But anyway, there we go. All right. So anyway, off of that, you talked a little bit about at least this race, Seth, but we'll go into your background a little bit. You know, what you do, I guess what you do for a living, how long you've been in sim racing, all that. I know you and me, we raced together a lot back, God, 10 years ago.
Yep.
Hasn't been a lot lately, but I know you've been around for a while. You do Kickin the Tires, writing for them. You do a great job there. Just kind of talk about what you do and everything. And yeah, Mike's all yours.
Well, in the NASCAR world, I am the esports editor and the staff writer over at kickinthetires.net. For iRacing, I first joined the platform in 2011. Joined a team called Extreme Speed Racing that then renamed themselves the Professional Sim Racers Group. The reason why I'm laughing, it was myself, Malik Ray, who was in our race last night and is a current Coke Series driver. Colin Keister, a current Coke Series driver. Stephen Esney, a former Coke Series driver.
Remember that team, PSCG or PSG?
PSRG.
PSRG, that's right. Yep.
And myself. So out of 4, 3 went on to be Coke Series drivers, and I went to be a writer.
So you're like the drummer. You're like the drummer for the Beatles before Ringo.
Yeah. But from there, because I'll be honest, the computer I had back then was a piece of shit.
Can relate.
Yeah. So I went and found that I could actually run Indy cars very well with that computer. So after trying to get them to start up an IndyCar side and they wouldn't, I left them and joined a team called Last Lap Motorsports that was made by Ray Kingsbury and Matt Kingsbury. And they were writing for iRacing News.
I remember them.
Well, they offered for me to take over for them because they were going to college. Granted, I was in community college at the time, but I was like, well, they're going to pay me to have all of the cars and tracks that I need in order to cover the series, and they're going to pay me. Okay. I knew nothing about writing at the time. That was my first writing gig, and I did that for 5 years.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. Got paid $100 a season, 4 seasons a year.
Okay.
Not too
Honestly,
bad.
Yeah, it's a side writing thing, so it's pretty good.
Yeah. Then from there, I went to Popular Speed for like 3 months as a developmental journalist. I'll be honest, mom's health wasn't the best at the time, so I kind of backed away. Then one day, Mom and I had actually gone out to dinner, and I'm just sitting there on my phone scrolling through Facebook. And I stumble on this ad from, at that time, Tribute Racing, what's now Motorsports Tribune, and they were looking for a NASCAR rider. So I was like, oh, what the hell, I'll apply. Well, they saw something in me. I don't know what it was. They hired me, spent 4 years there, then got picked up by Kickin the Tires when Jerry Jordan and I were essentially shooting the breeze, so to speak, over dinner one night, and he was saying he didn't understand anything about esports. And I was like, I started there, right? 3 weeks later, I start writing for him. That was October 2019. Been there ever since. iRacing News doesn't exist anymore.
No, that it doesn't.
Popular Speed doesn't exist anymore. I think it's now In the Pits News or something along those lines.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
But that's at least my racing story, as far as how I got to being a journalist. Being a fan in general comes from a couple of different places. First off, Dad just taking me to the track every weekend during the summer when I was a kid. Back up in New Jersey, where I'm originally from, Flemington Speedway, which also doesn't exist anymore. Wall Stadium Speedway, which I'll be honest, is kind of on life support.
It is.
Thompson International Speedway. We would go to Dover every year, Pocono some years. We went to Darlington, Charlotte, Richmond, Bristol. He was just a fan, even before my parents met. My mom was a fan before they met, and she was a fan because my grandparents were fans. My grandparents were fans because after emigrating to the U.S., my grandfather was bound to a wheelchair because he had polio, which he was given while he was in the concentration camps in Europe. And the easiest sport for him to get to, because back then they didn't have handicap sections. The easiest sport for him to get to was auto racing because you could just wheel him into the infield and put him in a spot.
Nice.
Easy, right?
Yeah. So that's how he became a fan. Granted, he was a fan of all American sports. He had season tickets to the Patriots, the Celtics, the Bruins, you name it, he had it.
Boston.
Well, hey, I can't help where they sold.
I know.
Besides, I'm a fan of Boston teams, so
I'm just saying,
yeah.
I got my love for my sports.
Hey. But outside of racing, what I've done for years, when I was going to community college, I was going to Mitchell Community College in both Mooresville and Statesville, in North Carolina. God, I'm doing good. Anyway, I was thinking because it's two different towns, one's north, one's south, but anyway. While I was there, I was also peer tutoring in their tutoring center. I graduated from there, went to UNC Charlotte, and then Mom's health got even worse. So I backed out of that, but I couldn't just sit around and do nothing. I had to work. So I went back first as just a tutor at Mitchell Community College, and then they asked me if I would want to be the assistant in the Mooresville Tutoring Center. And it was guaranteed hours, so I took that. Then the coordinator above me left to go and get her master's degree, so they promoted me again. And I've been the administrative specialist in the Mind Center, the name of the tutoring center, at Mitchell Community College, the Mooresville campus, since August 2019 now. So I've been doing that ever since. During downtime there, I've done a ton of research to help fill in gaps on racing reference. because the degree I have is in history. So I know very well how to look up information. Plus, their databases from the colleges. It's very easy.
Okay. That's pretty
Apparently
cool.
Racing Reference needs you now more than ever. But
Yeah, exactly.
that's
Well-
another conversation.
Well,
You do a whole episode on what Racing Reference needs right now.
well, Michael, I'll talk to you after the show a little
Yeah,
bit about
we'll
that
talk
because
about that after.
because we Kickin' Tires does have somebody formerly from Racing Reference contributing to us for ARCA and ARCA West, Vincent Delforge.
Okay.
Okay, nice.
That's pretty cool. But all right, that was great to hear about your story, Seth. That was great to hear everything. But looking forward to next week. As I mentioned, super late's at Gateway. Usually this is, and I say this every week, this is where we kind of make picks for next week. Who's gonna win, who's gonna be strong. What are we thinking? I don't know if I don't think anybody mentioned Alfredo last week. I know I didn't. I don't think Mike did. I don't think Brett did when he was talking about it. But if I'm gonna start with that, I'm gonna say the usual suspects are gonna be up there. You're gonna see if Raj runs, Raj will be up there. If Alfredo runs, he'll be up there. You know, who else? Like Vargas will be up there. Shieldhouse will be up there. All those guys, you know, the guys that always run top 10 will be up there.
Well, here's how I'll look at it. The last time we ran there, Shane Van Gisbergen won. If he runs, that's who I'd look for. But that being said, of those in the field, as far as the pros or the ones that are usually up front, Vargas is the only one that actually ran there in season 2. Shieldhouse wasn't part of the league yet. Raja wasn't part of the league yet. Will Rogers, I think he had just joined the league, so I think he was there, but I don't think he ran well. I think he got wrecked out early. So it's kind of hard to pick someone who you expect to run well in a car that is probably running on a track that's maybe a hair too big for that kind of motor. And it's the newer style body of super late models. So I expect a lot more wrecks when people try to bump and run in this one compared to when we were there in season 2.
Yeah, that's fair to say. I don't remember season 2, honestly. But I don't know. Gateway's a weird track, especially 1 and 2. And I don't know how that's going to be in those cars because I know 3 and 4 is kind of the flatter corner, and that's more of the on throttle corner, I guess you could say. But with those cars, I don't know how it'll be. What do you think, Mike? Who do you look for if you had to pick anybody or a few people, I should say? Because I picked a few people. I know Seth kind of said Vargas there.
Yeah, I was leaning towards Vargas as well, but I don't want to say the same person Seth said, I guess.
I mean, you could. I mean,
hey, I'm the guest. I'm the guest.
Yeah, so the guest gets the pick, I guess. But oh man, who do I don't know. I have this weird feeling that it's gonna be somebody different, somebody that hasn't won so far this year. I don't know.
Adam Cabot.
That's actually who I was thinking.
wow.
I had to
Mind
think
reader
if
Seth
he-
here.
I had to think if he had won this year.
Well, Adam is also my peak performance motorsports teammate on the Road to Pro side.
Okay.
Yeah. I would have Adam Cabot, or maybe even as kind of a dark horse, Gabe Wood.
Yeah. Okay. Gabe has had, I feel like Gabe's kind of had a downer year so far. Hasn't been really great for him. But I know he's capable of winning a couple. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. But anyway, any closing thoughts, guys? You know, looking forward to next week, obviously. Playoffs are coming. So
Well, for me, I'm just hoping that unlike season 2, I don't go 2 laps down under green before green flag pit stops.
yeah, that would be a lead lap finish. We'll make that the goal.
Yeah.
I just need to check and make sure I even own the track. I feel like I've never actually raced the Gateway.
Oh man, Mike always has these like remarks at the end of these shows, just like, yeah, I gotta own the track, I gotta make the race. I gotta do something.
Well, here, how about this? For Mike, with the new restart zone, let's see how many people you get busted for jumping the restart, or how many wrecks we get because
That's true. I completely forgot about that with the new iRacing update. For anybody watching, iRacing came out with an update this past build where there's now restart zones like real life. You can't go on the pace car anymore. You can go as late as you want. It just has to be within that restart zone or as early as you want, which that's going to make it interesting. Because I don't know, did they implement it in official races yet or no?
And I don't think so. I think it's only hosted in league.
Okay.
But at Gateway, the pace car goes on the pit road at the start of the access road.
Yeah.
So you have to wait all the way around.
Well, that's like how it is at Phoenix.
Yep.
Phoenix, it goes into the pits, what? Out of turn 2. And you got to go the entire length of the straightaway. But it'll be interesting. I know I have a feeling some people will get caught off guard there. But we thank Seth for joining us this week. Great having him on. We don't know who we'll have on next week. We've talked about a few guys, but we'll come to a decision middle of the week. But yeah, we'll be back next week. For Brandon Hauff, that's Michael Massie, Seth Eggert. We'll see you guys next week. Have a good night or day.